That should record now.
Thanks,
Thank
Leona.
you. Thanks, Leona. Welcome, good afternoon to the meeting of the local review body. I am Councillor Annette Ireland. I'm chair of the local review body. I'd like to welcome members here today and also to introduce Eamon Daly as clerk to the local review body, and Mr. Matt Greenan is the independent planning advisor to the local review body. He has had no involvement in the processing of the planning application, which is the subject of review before us today. Ms. Catherine Robb is a legal advisor and is responsible for preparing the local review body's decision notices and providing legal advice as necessary. Do we have any apologies for absence, please?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, one apology for absence this afternoon from Councillor Cunningham.
Thank you very much. Do we have any declarations from any members on the item before us? Oh, thank you very much. Can I just ask the members of the local review body if you could mute your microphones just until you're speaking? That'd be great. Thank you very much. We have one item on the agenda today, and it is review 2020-14, erection of 1.5-storey rear extension forming gable end with associated raising of ridge height and installation of dormer window at front of 29 Lawrence Avenue, Giffnock. Before I hand over to Matt to give us additional information on this, can I just check that we have sufficient information before us to make a decision, and also just ask with the members if you are familiar with the surrounding area in order to make that decision. I'll take silence as agreement to that. Thank you very much. Can I pass over to yourself, Matt, please, to give us additional information?
Thank you, Councillor Chair. I appreciate that. Can you hear me all properly? Yes. Good. This is review number 2020-14, and the planning application reference is 20/0293 at 29 Lawrence Avenue in Giffnock for the erection of 1.5-storey rear extension forming gable end and associated raising of ridge height and installation of front dormer window. There's no new information that was submitted as part of the appeal papers. Members will see the case on page 3 to 110 of their papers. The plans are also available in the papers at page 97 to 110. The ground floor plan overview is page 101. That's probably of interest. The site is an established residential area characterised by detached hip roof bungalows, and there is also a mix of 1.5 and 2-storey properties, detached, semi-detached in a general locality. Many of the properties in the surrounding area have been altered or extended. The site is in a corner site at the junction of Lawrence Avenue and Bromley Drive, with the building offset at an angle with both Lawrence Avenue and Bromley Drive. The existing hip roof bungalow principal elevation is original, and the property has been extended to the rear and side with pitch roofed extensions. And there is an existing garage adjacent to the side boundary. The proposal is for an extension to the rear, linking to the detached garage and installation of a new higher roof structure with a steeper roof pitches. A hip roof dormer window is proposed on the new front roof slope, and the existing side extension and garage will be retained and is intended to convert garage to an office. As shown in the plans referenced, a new flat roofed gable end will be formed to the rear. The roof pitch will be increased from 30 to 40 degrees to incorporate a continuous flat roof section. This will result in the increase of the roof height by 0.5 metres from 5.7 metres existing to 6.2 proposed. The hip roof dormer window on the front slope will measure approximately 3.4 metres in width, and a flat roof and single story extension proposed to link to the house to the garage and office. The proposed extension to link the house to the existing garage totals approximately 17.3 metres squared. Internal alterations and the creation of an extension to the rear property will provide further habitable space in the kitchen, dining and living areas on the ground floor, and will create office space within the building currently used as a garage. The proposed internal alteration results in the loss of a bedroom on the ground floor, with the proposed steeper roof pitch and central roof flat gable end structure projecting to the rear, together with the pitched roof front dormer window on the front slope, enables accommodation for 2 bedrooms. In addition, a total of 9 Velux windows are proposed on the east and west elevations of the property. The proposed external materials are rendered to match existing with grey concrete and roof tiles. Maybe just for further information on to the members, I think it might be useful to show the existing block plan. Leona, if you could do. That's on page 98 of your papers. That's shows the block plan as existing, but it also shows the roof structure as existing as well, and the corner plot right on the junction of the road. The block plan as proposed is shown on page 99, and that shows it in relation to the adjacent buildings, but it also shows the new roof structure that will be has been put forward by the applicant. Thanks, Leona. Page 106 of your papers shows the existing elevations and shows the nature of the existing property at the moment. The elements in red are the elements that the proposal is envisaged to remove, and these elements will be replaced by the elevations as shown on page 107, which is the north and south elevation. So that shows the steeper roof pitch, the front new dormer with a pitched roof, and the west elevation as well, which shows the side elevation, which shows the extension of the flat roof, the gable end, and 4 Velux on that side. And on page 108, you get the elevations proposed to the south and to the east. That shows the rear elevation as it is, with flat roof at the top, and shows the other side of the side elevation with 5 Velux windows and the conversion of the garage within that. Thanks, Luna. Appreciate that very much. In relation to any representations, there's one representation has been received relating to concerns over privacy from overlooking from 21 Douglas Avenue, located to the northwest of the site, on the opposite side of Bromley Drive to the applicants. That's on page 17 of the papers. In relation to the reasons for the planning officer's decision, the application was refused, and a report of handling and a decision notice are shown on page 21 to 35 of the papers. Basic outline of the proposal was set out, and the proposal was assessed against policies D1 and 14 of the adopted local plan and supplementary planning guidance, householder guide design SPG. Policy and guidance requires new extensions to complement existing character of property and surrounding area. Extensions to bungalows should have a lower ridge line than the dwelling, not form a gable end, and amenity of neighbouring properties not adversely affected. Various key elements of the proposal were considered. The main roof structure was considered substantial in design terms, markedly different from the existing bungalow, raising the roof ridge together with increase in roof pitch results considered to result in a continuous flat roof section and a large gable end. This was considered by the officer to dominate and overwhelm the existing property and not considered to be in keeping with existing property in character, form and design. The site's prominent location at Lawrence Avenue and Bromley Drive would make the impact of the proposal beyond purely the confines of the property. The front dormer was considered to be supportable, albeit requiring unsympathetic roof structure, and the single-storey rear extension and garage conversion were considered acceptable and not overwhelm or dominate or raise issues with neighbouring properties. Adverse overlooking or overshadowing of adjacent properties was not considered an issue. The neighbouring developments at 25 and 27 Lawrence were acknowledged, and they were granted by the LRB previously. Although the roof ridge at both sites was increased, neither involved substantial or incongruous flat roof section. Neither of these examples were considered enough to define the built character of the area. Therefore, overall, the extension was considered contrary to policy, not being in keeping with most of the surrounding built area, and significantly detract from the prevailing character of the area, given the massing and scale. Therefore, it was considered the proposal contrary to policy, and that there were no material considerations which significantly outweigh both the adopted and proposed LDPs. Consequently, the application was refused against policy D1. Form and design would detract from the area. Policy D14 introduces a style and form, increased roof pitch, continuous flat roof section and rear gable, which would detract, overwhelm the character and design of the existing house detriment of the area. And SPG, page 4 of the householder design, introduced continuous flat roof section and rear gable wall, which overwhelmed the character and design of the existing house to the detriment of the area. In relation to the grounds of the appeal of the applicant's case is contained in the notice of review and statement, reasons starting on pages 37 to 64 of your papers. And a planning statement was also provided by the applicant to support the application, pages 67 to 95 of your papers. The notice of review confirms the applicant's case that it was considered that the proposal to be appropriate and acceptable within the streetscape of Lawrence Avenue, complementary to the residential area, and considered not to dominate or detract from the original property or local area. The applicant's case was further set out within the statement of reasons, associated plans, and the planning statement provided with the initial planning submission. The statement of reasons referenced 3 reasons for refusal, contrary to policy D1, D14 and SPG, and makes specific comment on the 4 detailed matters pertinent to the case, dealing with the design, which focuses on rear to minimise visual impact, similar to other properties, and ensures that the scale and design of development does not dominate the character of property or wider area. Second element was considered was the proposed increase in roof pitch. The roof was increased by 0.5 metres and the pitch increased to 40 degrees. It was considered that the applicant proposal maintains the look of a hipped roof for the main frontage, and considered that the roof does not dominate the skyline or the original frontage of the property and sits below the established ridgeline of other properties, and cites other similar examples and similar in siting and massing style. The third element, Rory, was to introduce a flat roof section that was considered. The applicant acknowledged that the flat roof is different from the existing, but considered it not to be out of character with other examples. Considered that flat roof extensions can be installed without causing detrimental impact on the property or area, in each case viewed on a site-specific basis. The final element was the introduction of a gable end to the rear elevation, which essentially considered. The applicant cited other examples which established that the gable rear end extension was in character with nearby other examples, both neighbouring and further afield within Lawrence and Bromley Drive. Conclusion is made that the proposals are considered in keeping with the character of the wider area and can be accommodated without impact on the general character of the property. These points were also set forth and expanded on within the planning application statement, the planning statement associated with accompanied by the planning application, referencing similar examples as material considerations. Also concluding that the proposal is considered acceptable within the streetscape, which boasts a mix of property types, sizes and designs, and that the proposal is considered complementary to the residential area and does not dominate or detract from the original property, and as such they ask for the application to be allowed. I would finally, I would remind members to assess the proposal against the development plan and other material planning considerations. I think that concludes my speak.
Thank you very much, Matt. That was really helpful. Can I now turn and open it out to the local review body for comment? Councillor Miller.
Thanks very much, Chair. The thing I find strange about it is that number 27 Bromley Drive has made the objection, yet they got planning permission for an extension themselves just a few years ago, which seems a bit off. The other thing is, on page 107, it's got the front elevation, which actually I think makes it look an awful lot better than it was. If you look at the page, right, number 99, where sorry, it's before that, been 98, where you've got extensions coming all over the place from the original bit, whereas the extension that's proposed actually brings everything together. Okay, it's got one wee bit sticking out, but other than that, I think it actually improves it rather than detracts from it. So I'm quite in favour of this.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other members wishing to come in? Oh, sorry, Matt, you're wishing to come in.
Apologies for that. Just to clarify, the representation made was at from 21 Douglas Avenue, which was on page 17, I think, of the papers. So it wasn't immediately adjacent to the property. You know.
It wasn't?
No, it was on page 17. You can see. You might be able to, the first plan shown on the papers might well help members in relation to the consideration there. That's on page 97. And you can see that Douglas Drive is to the north west, 21 Douglas Avenue, apologies. So it's a rather just an interesting site, which actually there are Lawrence Avenue, Bromley Drive, Ruthven Avenue and Douglas Avenue are all at that junction. Apologies for, I don't think I need to say anything more there. Thank you.
Oh, okay, thank you very much, Matt. Anyone else wishing to come in at the moment to make any comments on this before us? Councillor Fletcher, Thomas?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, really perhaps just a question to Matt. I mean, it's relevant to the objection from Bromley. Am I right in thinking that the comment, I mean, reading through all the papers, I just can't find the exact page at the moment, but the suggestion was that the overlooking or the alleged overlooking that the objectors is highlighted wasn't the principal reason for the rejection. I mean, to my mind, it seems a very big extension. I absolutely understand that it's breaching our current planning guidance, but there's obviously a counter argument that the local review body anyways already granted a couple that are a bit similar. But I just wanted to check in terms of the actual objector and try and flush out how much substance we should give to this, because clearly the gentleman, if you read what he said, it would suggest that it's a major problem, but I didn't quite get the sense of that when I read the planning officer's submission. Thank you.
Yes, I think that the planning officer's report confirms that they considered that element of the proposal and was not considered to be, sorry, excuse me, I'll just get the appropriate bit of the form. I think looking at page 97 on your plan, maybe should be of information to the members as well. It shows where the actual representee is located at 21, so it's on the other side of the road of Bromley Drive to the property, you know. You can see the planning officer's report did not consider that the overlooking element was a major element to the proposal or a deciding element.
Okay, thank you very much, Matt. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to come in? Councillor McLean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of 21. I'm looking at 21, and it's actually across the road from it. It's not as if it's adjacent to it, the back of it or the side of it. It's actually straight across the road from the house. So I'm not sure how they're going to be impacted that much from a site across the road, and so I'm not sure about that. I think I'm aware we've overturned ones before, but I think the main kind of consideration here is is it in keeping with it because of this flat roof? That seems to be the main kind of sticking point. Is this is a flat roof where the others have all been pitched, and that's kind of the main point. I agree with it. It's not. I don't think it's that big of an extension. We've seen bigger ones certainly, but it's just the kind of change from a pitch to a flat roof. Is that in keeping with the general area? But I don't really see how number 21's been affected if it's actually across the road from it. That's all I've got.
Thank you very much. Councillor McLean, Councillor Convery.
Thanks very much, Chair. This is when I miss going out into site, going on site visits, and the pictures just kind of don't do any justice. The pictures that we got are just the surrounding of the actual building, and so you can't see what's round about it. So I actually went on Google Maps just to kind of have a look about to see what the surrounding houses were. Can I just share quickly share something with you?
Yes.
Oops, there you go. Can you see that? Yeah. So there's an extension across the road. It's like 2 houses up, and it's just as big as an extension as the one they've asked for. And see if you actually move down a little bit, and you can actually see that it's completed. So they've obviously done, Google Maps has done it at separate occasions. So you can actually see that it's actually completed. So it's not as big. How do I stop sharing this? There we go. That way. So it's not as big an extension as I originally first thought. I thought, God, this looks huge, and it's definitely, there's nothing round about it. It's the same size, but then on looking, delving a wee bit further, you can actually see there is houses round about it that has got an extension just as large as this one. If the main issue is the flat roof, then I don't have an issue with that. I actually think it's quite nice.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Councillor Smith?
Can I make an observation there, Chair?
Certainly, Matt. Yes.
Thank you, appreciate that. The property at 33 Bromley Drive is a 2009 application, and that was decision in November 2009, just for information.
Thank you very much. Councillor Swift?
Thank you, Chair. I'm kind of with pretty much everything I've heard so far. I think it becomes difficult for us as a committee, and me personally as an individual, to be confronted with things that have been approved in the past, and some of it relatively recent past, that look uncannily similar, albeit not the wee bit of flat roof in between, to what we're looking at. And I do think we either change the guidance to the planners, which is something I think people have been saying for quite a while, to give them a little bit more latitude or something, because we seem to be giving restrictive guidance to planners. It comes to the committee, we approve it, and I'm not sure that's best use of everybody's time at all. I mean, it doesn't give the planners the respect they deserve, perhaps, either. So yeah, I have no objection to this whatsoever.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to come in? I'm going a wee bit different. Oh, Councillor Miller, yes.
Well, I'm not going to be much different from what's going on before, but planning committee, the LRB members will recall our meeting down at Rook and Glen about 2 years ago, where we had I'm not saying it was a fight with the planners, but certainly an exchange of views with the planners. And it doesn't seem to me that planners have taken on board what was discussed that day. And in this particular case, not so much the flat roof, but the gable end. You know, that was one of the reasons why it's been knocked back. And at that time, we thought that gable ends were acceptable, but obviously nothing has been. The planners have not taken nice as what was said at that meeting.
Oh no, absolutely, because we have looked at gable ends before, and it's came up before again. If the committee is fine with it, I would like to make inquiries about how things are progressing ever since that meeting and report that back to you.
That'd be really helpful.
Yeah. I could send that on. Yeah, no, I was just going to comment. I do actually find myself in agreement with the planner on this one, and I know I have probably agreed with the previous one that we approved here, which was, I think, just a couple of houses down. But the one for me, it just seems it's taking it a step too far. Yes, it's got the gable, but it's the flat roof section for me. I just feel that is that additional step that's perhaps taking the request to the LRB just a little bit too far. It is incongruous, I think, and I do feel it is going to overwhelm on that position. And I do know that there are ones roundabout, but they're not the same as this. They've still got the roof pitch and they don't have, so for me, it's the flat roof section on top. I think it's just they're asking too much of us. But I would like to move that we accept the recommendation to refuse on page 23, but I will need a seconder. I will take the silence as there's no seconder. So can I please pass back yourself, Eamon?
Thank you, Chair. Just to confirm, you had moved to support the decision taken by the planning officer to refuse the planning consent for the reasons as given in the decision notice. The views expressed by the other members of the LRB is that the decision of the planning officer be overturned and that planning permission be granted. Matt, could you just confirm whether or not, in light of that, any additional conditions would be required to be attached to the consent?
It's considered that no further conditions would be considered appropriate. All the plans all have like so the detailed materials, etc., have been clearly stated in the plans, so that wouldn't be necessary.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Matt.
Sorry, Chair, on you go.
No, I was just going to double check Councillor Convery because I see your hand is up. Is that no, that's fine. Okay, thank you. And Councillor McLean, I see your hand up as well. I just want to double check before we move on. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to. I would have probably went with you, but when Councillor Convery showed that picture of the Google Maps, that was a flat roof.
Okay.
Which
no.
we put on the extension there. So there is obviously a precedent for it there.
No, thank you. Thanks. Eamon, can I turn back to yourself?
Yeah, thanks for clarifying that, Councillor McLean. So can we just confirm then that you had moved the support of the officer's decision, which no seconder for, and can I just confirm with the remaining members that their view is that the Councillor Fletcher? Sorry, you're on mute. You're still on mute, Provost.
You're muted, Jim.
For a response there. No, I think, what I was just going to make the point, it's very helpful to see, Councillor Convery's slides there, because it actually gives you a much better, position than just looking at the pictures. I just wonder for the future, if this pandemic continues, if it's, I probably should have been down and had a look at it, but perhaps it would be possible to socially distance outside and actually still do these things and then have a discussion online, because there may well be others. But I think having seen it and given the precedents there and given that individual in Douglas is quite a distance away, I think probably in balance would be happy with the grant.
Thank you.
Just in relation to that, we could certainly look at ways. It's open to the LRB when considering whether or not it has sufficient information before it to determine an application to ask for additional information, and it may well be that if in looking at any future ones you didn't feel you had sufficient information, you could ask for additional information, for example, in the way of additional photographs. That clearly requires officers to go out and perhaps take photographs. I think in this particular case it would have been in the context of the wider streetscape, but that's something that we could look at for the future.
Councillor Miller, your wishing to come in?
Thanks very much. I'm just going back to what both Jim and Eamon are saying. A lot of the times, if I didn't know a particular area, I did what Angela did and just go into Google Maps and take the street view. You can see what's round about, and it makes it an awful lot easier to understand why you're going to make a decision on a particular application. Google Maps, I think, is a great thing.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thanks. Eamon, can I pass back to yourself?
Try again, Chair. Just to confirm, you'd moved that the application, the decision of the planning officer be upheld. However, in the absence of a seconder, the view of the LRB now is that the planning officer's decision be overturned and that planning permission be granted. And Mr. Greenan has confirmed that there would be no need for any additional conditions to be attached to that approval. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I want to thank everyone for your time, and I'll ask Planning Department about developments on the supplementary planning guidance, and I'll report that all back to you. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Ta-ra.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.